thankfully. So just thought I'd do a kind of video just summarising the season, looking at the squad, who should go, who should stay. And yeah, quickly on the Lopetegui situation, I couldn't really be asked to do a video about it, to be honest. I find it really boring. But in terms of Lopetegui, obviously he has done a good job, 13th, that's kind of where we finished in Nuno's final season, somehow. And, since Lopetegui's come in, obviously things have improved. You can't deny that, even though I think he's been a bit overrated. But, since he's come in, we've been 11th in the Premier League. But if you look at that on expected points, we're actually bottom, which is mad, really, when you think about it. Like, we've massively got lucky in a lot of games. Obviously, the fact we don't have a striker and don't have a lot of high volume shots means we're going to get kind of put down a bit on expected goals. So it's not the most perfect metric. I'm just making the point that we have got a bit lucky under Lopetegui. And obviously, there's the FFP situation right now. I think a lot of fans are starting to kind of not be really that arsed if Lopetegui leaves, and I'm not either. I criticised him a few months ago and got a lot of stick on Twitter, but at the end of the day, I think Lopetegui is replaceable. He's done a perfectly good job, but if he doesn't want to be here, then he can leave, in my opinion. But that's just my two thoughts on that. So just looking at the squad, I'm just doing this on my opinion. I'm not doing it on rumours or anyone else. I'm just doing this on mine. Obviously, you keep Ruben if you can. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but you still keep him. He's still probably been our player of the season for probably the third year in a row. Jose Sá's a weird one. Jose Sá was brilliant last year. He was probably the third or fourth best goalkeeper in Europe. Was definitely the best shot stopping goalkeeper in the Prem. But I personally would sell Jose Sá if you can get an offer. Jose Sá's 29. He had a good season last year. There will be interest in Jose Sá, and obviously he was top of post shot XG last year. But if you look at it this year, it's completely flipped, and it is a bit concerning. It does feel like maybe he did just overperform and get a bit lucky. If you look at the guys he's down there with, Mark Travers is Bournemouth's number 2. Illan Meslier is a really young goalkeeper, so is Bazunu. Danny Ward, Alex McCarthy, backup goalkeepers. All the guys that are underperforming, he's the only one that's kind of an experienced number 1. And he's not the most modern goalkeeper. I would just let him go, personally, if you can get an offer. I don't think it's like number 1 priority, but he's been really bad recently, and it does feel like it might just be time to move on. It was a good deal to bring him to the club in the first place, but maybe it's just not worked out. Sarkic, obviously go, no one cares. Dan Bentley, might as well just keep him. He's a fine number 2. Johnny, love the bloke, but time to go. No need for sentiment anymore. I still think he looks better on the left than he does on the right, which blows my mind, but whatever. He was pretty good against Liverpool this season there, but we've got so many left backs. You can't keep him for a right back, and he's not good enough anymore. Simple as that. Nelson Semedo, obviously keep. We've already extended the 2-year contract. Look, Nelson Semedo's not incredible. He's not. But the thing that annoys me about Nelson Semedo is when people slag him off for not going forward. And look, Semedo's not as good as I thought he'd be when we signed him. And I'm not saying he's perfect or anything, but obviously he does nothing going forward, but he's a solid defender. This is what Semedo was like at Barcelona. Like, if you look at his last numbers at Barcelona, when he was playing behind Lionel Messi, he didn't have good attacking numbers then. Like, he never has done. Like, we'll go back to the year before that, his second to last season in La Liga. He's never had, like, really... Look, he's never had good attacking. I don't know why people... Anyway, but he's not perfect. If we get a good offer for him, I'd sell him. Obviously, like, someone offered you 15, 20 mil, take it. But Semedo's not the biggest issue. He's perfectly fine. But we need competition for him. He can't be our only right back. Maybe bring in a profile of right back who's a bit more attacking. But Semedo's fine. He's not the biggest issue at the club, although he does need to improve. Pedro Neto's one that's really split his opinion on Twitter. Personally, I'd just keep him for 1 more year. His market value is going to be really low anyway. You're not going to get any money for him, really, that's really high. He's on a long contract. Obviously, his output's woeful, but he still does stuff. Like, he still tries to get on the ball. He can still run a bit. I've seen people say he's got no pace anymore. I think that's a bit harsh, but I'd just keep Neto for another year. We need to buy another winger, obviously, but I don't think Neto's like death. Obviously, you've got a really good offer sell, but I don't mind keeping him for 1 more year, personally. Raul Jimenez, love the bloke, but time to go. It's been 2 years where he's been crap now. We basically stunted Fabio Silva's development to play Raul Jimenez last season, and he was crap. And he's been crap this year as well. He obviously doesn't want to be here. Lopetegui doesn't rate him. He's not good enough anymore. Love the bloke, but it's time to go. Adama, obviously, he's leaving on a contract. He's been okay over the last couple of weeks. He has moments. He's not useless, but at the end of the day, he's a defensive liability. Apparently he wants 90 grand a week. I wouldn't give him that. Which, by the way, he's entitled to ask for that. I just wouldn't give it him. He's awful defensively. He offers nothing really going forward. he's a passenger in more games than he is not. And if he was a better club, obviously he'd play a bit better, but he's been there for 5 years now. He's had 4 bad seasons and 1 good one. And he's in his prime now, and he's still not improving. He's still the same player he was when we bought 5 years ago. He was still worth it when we bought him. We got good use out of him, but time to move on, in my opinion. Hwang, obviously, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Hwang, to be honest, but he's actually been okay this season. He's one of the players that actually does have some sort of goal scoring instinct, so you can't really let that go. You probably get some money for him, but I think he's an alright squad player to have. Covers a couple of positions. Apparently he's quite popular behind the scenes. I just don't really see what the point in letting him go is, personally. Mario Lemina obviously stays. You know, look, Lemina's had a couple of bad games, especially Man United. But overall, Lemina's been a good signing, especially for the fee we got him. No point in selling him. Dramatino, love the bloke, but time to go. So if he plays in a midfield 3, you have to play him as one of the advanced ones. He can't do it. And in a midfield 2, he's going to get walked over. Love the bloke, but time to move on. Same with Diego Costa. I've never really understood why people hype him up so much on Twitter. Just he had 1 good game against Brentford. And I think people are slowly starting to come around now that it's probably time to move on. You know, Lopetegui keeps kind of hinting that he wants to give him a new contract. Honestly, don't know why. I just don't really see what he does personally, but whatever. Totti Gomez has just got a call up to the Portugal squad, by the way. That's mad. I was just on my phone while talking. Fair play to Totti Gomez. Where is Totti? There he is. And obviously, yeah, you keep Totti. Totti's a weird one because he feels like his best position would probably be on the left side of a back 5. Obviously playing as that left centre-back. I don't really think he's necessarily good enough to be a starting centre-back or left-back, but if we did go back to a back 3, maybe under a different manager, I think he would suit it. But look, he covers 2 positions. Maybe now he's in the Portugal squad, he's going to want to go and get some minutes, but look, and obviously if you got a really good offer for Totti, you'd sell him, but I think he's a perfectly good squad player to keep. It's nothing special, but you keep him. Craig Dawson the same. Obviously, it's a bit concerning our best centre-back's a 34-year-old who's probably not going to be here in a year or 2, but he's obviously our best centre-back. I saw people after the Arsenal game saying, like, oh, this is what happens when Dawson's not here, but maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Craig Dawson started against Brighton and we conceded 6. So, but yeah, look, obviously you keep Craig Dawson. I don't really think that's up for debate. Daniel Podence, I'm very mixed on Daniel Podence because I think Daniel Podence gets way too much stick on Twitter, considering that he's the only reason we're still in this league. Like, genuinely, like, without his goals, we'd have like 10 less points. And I kind of want to keep, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to keep him. I don't care. Actually, does he have a year left? I think he's got a year left in his contract, right? If he didn't have a year left in his contract, I'd keep him, but you kind of got to cash in on the end of the day. But I do think Daniel Podence has been a lot better than people give him credit for. Apparently he's a bit of a knob as well. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, it's probably the best time to move on. But I do think he probably gets a bit of an unfair ride on Twitter, but probably time to move on. Who even is that? Is that Nigel Longwhite, whatever his name is? Loan, I guess. Corbianu sell. I don't even think he's played a minute at Arminia Bielefeld since he went on loan there. Felt like a bit of a weird loan move. Yeah, he's had 4 or 5 loan moves and not really done much now, so it probably feels time to move on. Boubacar Traore, I wouldn't be against loaning him out, to be honest, but you probably keep him around for 1 more year before you do that. He's still pretty young. He's been okay whenever he's played. You know, Lopetegui's brought him back into the fold over the next couple of weeks, so he clearly does rate him to a certain degree. It's a bit concerning we've got a lot of the same profile of midfielder now, and now that Moutinho and Neves are leaving, we've got no real like out-and-out passer in that midfield, but you've kind of got to keep Boubacar for 1 more year, and then kind of assess it afterwards. Obviously, Dion's going to leave. Joe Hodge, you'd obviously loan out. Same with Luke Cundle. Sasha, obviously, if someone comes and offers you the money you paid for Sasha back, you sell him, but I really like Sasha Kalajdzic. You know, Scott Seller's got a lot of stick, but Sasha Kalajdzic was the right profile. So was Nunes, but they haven't worked out for other reasons, obviously. But I like the profile of Kalajdzic. There's no point selling him. Worst case scenario, he's still fit, but he kind of just sits there as a third choice. Don't really have an issue with that. He doesn't seem like a bad guy, so I assume he's not going to moan. I think there's more upsides with Kalajdzic. So yeah, plus the style of player he is, I don't really see an ACL injury affecting him too much. It's not like with Chiquinho, for example, where maybe he'll lose his pace. But I'd keep Chiquinho as well. Like, actually, would you? Actually, now loan. if you get a good loan offer for Chiquinho, he deserves to go out now. The thing is with Chiquinho as well, let me Google it real quick on my phone, but I'm pretty sure Chiquinho is a lot older than you'd kind of think. Isn't he like 24 or something? Chiquinho, yeah, he's 23, Chiquinho, so he kind of has to go out and play. By the way, Guedes and Mosquera aren't on this list, but obviously you'd loan out Mosquera and you'd sell Guedes, that's not even a debate. But yeah, Chiquinho's got to play now, and he's not really going to play next season, is he? Let's be honest. So yeah, get him out on loan. Cunha obviously stays. Obviously, we paid a ridiculous fee. I find it, but we kind of had to, I guess. I do find it a bit weird that Lopetegui, apparently Cunha was Lopetegui's number one guy, yet he's barely played him over the last couple of games. And it still feels like Lopetegui doesn't really know what he's doing with him. Like, he keeps saying that he can play as a number 9. He's obviously not a number 9. You know, I'm just an idiot that records some YouTube videos every so often. And I remember when we signed him, even I said he's obviously not a number 9. So it's a bit concerning to me that, like, managers and officials at the club who bought him genuinely thought he was number 9. That's a bit concerning to me. But anyway, each their own. Chem Campbell obviously goes out on loan. I think he's done pretty well at Wickham, hasn't he? So he'll get another loan. Same with Dexter Lembakise, deserves a loan. Connor Cody obviously just sell. Like, I've got nothing against Connor Cody. I don't hate Connor Cody or anything. But you'll probably get 5-6 million for him. We need the money, or at least apparently we need the money for FFP. And just let him go back to Everton. I assume Sean Dyche want to keep him, maybe. So yeah, let Cody go. Joe Gomez obviously stay. You know, Joe Gomez hasn't been as good as some people make out. Like, some people on Twitter act like he's been incredible every game. He's been fine. He's had a couple of really good games, a couple of really bad games. But he's a good age, he's a good profile. He's something we've needed for a while. And yeah, you let him develop. I'd be very surprised if he dropped off a lot next season. You know, odds are he'll improve, and I like him, so stay. Pablo Sarabia, I guess you've got to keep him for one more year, but I wouldn't be against selling him. If you got a good offer for Pablo Sarabia, I would accept it, because he's genuinely, like, for me, like, I've never really... When we signed him, I didn't have an issue with it because of how low the fee was, but he has been pretty poor. I'd say he's had one really good game. One really good game. That was against Fulham. Obviously he's had kids. He's had an injury and stuff, but I don't really see too much what he offers yet. But I'd like to see him play a lot more centrally. A lot of the time he's played off the left, and you know, he's always played off the right or as a 10. So I'd like to see him more centrally. But for me, it's kind of last chance saloon with Sarabia. You know, he's got 2 years left of his contract. If he's crap next season, you probably sell him. Keanu Hervé, you probably got out on loan. I like Keanu Hervé. I'd defend him a lot on Twitter when everyone was going in on him after that error against, was it Liverpool? But that Stoke Malou's done a lot for him. If you can get him back to Stoke for another year or another Championship club, we paid what, 7 mil for Keanu Hervé. If he has a good Championship loan next season, plays 30 games and has a good season like Ryan Giles has, you'll probably get you could get your money back. That's all you can really ask for. Nathan Collins, look, I understand why Nathan Collins gets some stick. I get it, but people forget Nathan Collins is 3 years younger than Totti Gomez is. He's really young, man, like really young. And going from Wolves to Burnley is a big step up. So yeah, I'm surprised at how many people are starting to write him off on Twitter and that. He's not experienced as Kilman at the club. He's not as experienced as Dawson. He deserves to have this year as kind of a bit of a write-off period. And he has had good games. But when he does do something wrong, it does look a bit calamitous. But yeah, I remember when I was at the Leeds game in the Cup, and people in the crowd, every time he touched the ball, they were just panicking, even though he wasn't doing anything wrong. Everyone was like, "Oh, what's he doing?" I don't know. I feel like he's got a reputation of kind of being he's got a clanger in him, and it kind of makes the crowd nervous. Which is, it's unfair on him, but it's kind of on him to kind of change his reputation. Kilman, look, if you can get a £35 million bid, which is, according to Liam Keane anyway, he was saying that there's clubs interested at that sort of fee. If that's true, I'd sell Max Kilman. But if it's not, if you ignore transfer fees, obviously I'd keep Max Kilman. But if the fee is £35 million, I would 100% sell Max Kilman. I like Max Kilman. He's a good ball carrier. He's a decent age, but he's 26, Max Kilman. I don't know when he turns 27, but he's 26. So you're not going to get big money for him in a couple of years' time. He's homegrown, obviously, which is well, and we need a lot of homegrown players, which is a concern. But I don't think Max Kilman is like irreplaceable or anything. And if you can get the money that's being rumoured, I would sell him. Because we do need to buy a centre back anyway. And you're kind of stuck with Dawson and Collins. So if you can sell Dawson and bring in someone Lopetegui wants or the next manager wants, I would sell him. But it does depend on the fee. If it's like anything below 25 million, I probably wouldn't accept it. But I would sell him for the right price. Kind of same with Jose Sarr. Fabio Silva obviously keep. Fabio's not even played a lot as a number 9 this season. For PSV, he's played a lot for the left apparently. His numbers are good. His numbers are very similar to Gyökeres, who all of our fans bang on about. Obviously, Gyökeres is a bit more physically developed than Fabio, but I thought Fabio was pretty good last season whenever he got a chance. I thought the way Bruno treated him was pretty bad. I understand why he's quite concerned about coming back, but I think you have to give Fabio a chance. And, people saying, oh, he doesn't want to be here or whatever, I get it. But, if Lopetegui or whoever the next manager is says to Fabio, look, you're going to play every game, or you're going to play contribute in every game, he'll want to stay. Fabio clearly backs himself. He clearly thinks he can play at Premier League level. And if you give him that spot to kind of shine, I don't really see why he wouldn't want to take that chance. I was just on Twitter and apparently Ajax want him. Can't really see him doing that, to be honest, but I understand why he wants to leave, and he probably does need 1 year of development, but Fabio's got 3 years left on his contract. So if you load him out for another year, by the time you get him back, you'll have 2 years after his contract. So you kind of have to sell him. We'll be in the same situation we were with Gibbs White. So personally, I'd keep Fabio, but I get why people wouldn't. I guess we can. Let me just do Nunes, then we've got all the left backs. Nunes. I'm very mixed on Nunes, to be honest. He's been nowhere near as good as I thought he would be. Honestly, I would sell him for the right fee, if I'm being totally honest with you. Again, it depends on the fee. Obviously, if you can't get a good fee for him, you just keep him for another year. But let me put all these 3 together. But like these 4, Kilman, Podence, Nunes and Sarr, it depends on the fee. If you can get a good, like all of these guys, I'd sell them for nominal sort of fees. With these 4, it completely depends on the transfer you can get. But if you can get 30 plus for Nunes, I wouldn't be against it. In Lopetegui keeps saying the 4-4-2. I thought he looked really good in the first couple of games, but he's not looked good there. Every time I watch him, he just irritates me. He's got a good attitude and he clearly wants to be here. But if Wolves need money and you get a good offer for him, I would sell him, if I'm being totally honest with you. And then you got the 3 left backs. You got to keep 2 of them. And this is my tier list. This isn't what Lopetegui wants to do or whatever. This is what I would do. I would keep Aït-Nouri and I'd keep Hugo Bueno. And I'd sell Ryan Giles. Look, this obviously depends on a lot of things. Again, it depends on the money you get for Ryan Giles. It depends on the money you get for Aït-Nouri. Like, someone offers you 25 million for Aït-Nouri, you take it, obviously. And Lopetegui clearly doesn't rate Aït-Nouri. That's fine. But I do. And I rate Hugo Bueno. Ryan Giles' numbers do concern me a bit in the Championship. Look, I haven't watched Ryan Giles loads, I'll admit it. But he literally doesn't. He's never done anything defensively. Like, obviously, his attacking numbers are jacked. He's on the ball numbers are pretty poor, albeit that's probably because he takes a lot of risky passes and stuff. It does concern me he's not actually that good of a dribbler. That kind of surprised me. If I'm being totally honest, his defense numbers are woeful. He's not particularly physically big. I don't know. There's just something about Ryan Giles. I'm not sure I'd trust Ryan Giles in a 4. If we went back to a back 5, that'd be a completely different thing. I'd happily have Ryan Giles back. But look, we need money. That's a fact. Hugo Bueno's definitely going to stay. I know he was bad against Arsenal, but that was very much a one-off against a very good winger, Bukayo Saka. And then it's between Aït-Nouri and Ryan Giles. Aït-Nouri's a lot more physically developed. He's played in the Premier League before. I think you get probably a similar amount of money for Giles. And obviously, because of the way FFP works, you get more money for him because he's homegrown on how FFP works, right? So this is just my tier. I would keep Aït. I know Lopetegui wouldn't, but I'm just doing this for me. I'd rather keep Aït-Nouri and sell Ryan Giles. That's just my opinion. So yeah, that's my tier list. It's a bit concerning that we've barely got any players, and a lot of these are I'd probably sell them if you got a good fee for. There's very few players that you definitely keep. Like, I'd happily loan out Boubacar. I'd happily sell Aït-Nouri. I wouldn't be that arsed if Collins, Sarabia left. Sasha, if you got good money from him, you'd sell him. Bentley, I'm not really arsed. Same with Neto and Hwang. There's very few players you'd really want to keep. And that is very concerning. and the Lopetegui situation is a bit worrying. But I kind of respect the fact that the club are keeping to their own stance. So yeah, that's just my thought. The season's dead, but I'm glad it's over, and yeah, a lot of work to do in the summer.